we discovered a massive need for women to find an identity surrounding being a woman and an entrepreneur. I'm Marley.
And I'm Rachel. Women like us, women who are the primary earners in our families,
are searching for identity, community, visibility, permission.
A place to be heard and supported.
We are leading with our vulnerability to allow others to feel safe.
We are strong
and feminine. We are bread-winning women.
And we're live.
I was like, give me the countdown, Rachel. We're live. It's Breadwinning Women TV. Again, every Wednesday, the place to be. And today, if you got our email last night, Rachel, you wrote it so well. Like, I got that subject line. I was like, dang. Today, we're going to talk about, and Rachel and I, like, the day before, like, we start to plan what we're going to talk about. We sometimes just go with whatever's on our mind. And so Rachel says, what do you want to talk about today? And I said, I want to talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And she was like, what does that mean? Like, what's going on? Like, where is this coming from? And I think that so often, and if you don't know what throwing the baby out with the bathwater, Rachel explained this so well in her email, and I'll get you to explain it because you did it so well. But sometimes we have times where we just want to, like, screw it all and throw it all away and, like, just do it ourselves or forget everything and start over. But Rachel, can you tell us the description of, like, how you explained it?
Absolutely. So I am, I'm a big time nerd. I nerd out on things. So when I hear a phrase, when I hear a word, when I hear something that's often brought up in conversation, I like to research the history of that phrase. Why is it being used? What did this historically mean? What is it developed into today? So I researched what it means to throw the baby out with the bathwater, or as people say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And basically in the old days, like, think back 100, 200 years ago, basically the family would take baths at the end of the day, or, well, not daily, most likely, probably at the end of the week or whatever, however often they bathed. And the oldest person would bathe first, and then the second oldest person would, and they would go all the way down the line. And of course, everyone had tons of kids. So by the end, that water would be so dirty and just filled with dirt and debris, and it would be gray and sometimes even like murky brown. And then they'd wash the baby in it. So this sounds really, really gross, but this is just the reality of what baths used to look like. So they would oftentimes joke, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, even though the water is disgusting and all that you're seeing is the dirt and debris that's left at the end of the day, there's still a baby in that bathwater.
And so I love this phrase, and it actually came up for me recently. And just that imagery, it made me realize, like, okay, no, this is whatever's going on, whether it's work, relationship, business, whatever, it's worth working on most of the time. I mean, there's some certain circumstances that you can say, okay, this isn't for me. But I was talking about, like, struggles I was having with my team, with work, with things that were going on in the business. And sometimes we're working on things that are just a struggle. And hey, that's entrepreneurship. If you can't get through the grind and get through the struggle, then maybe this isn't for you. But so when I was struggling with something going on in my business, and I was talking to someone who happens to be a great business coach, he was like, hey, Marley, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And even just hearing that, I was like, whoa, I think that that's often my reaction to things. And I need to shift that way of thinking so that instead of, screw it all, I don't want to do this anymore, and this is awful, and I'm just going to start over or just forget about it, was, okay, what's the solution? What do I do? How can I fix this? What's the structure or communication that needs to happen? Or how do I need to reframe my mindset to fix this? So yeah, Rachel, what can you think of, like, situations that you've had, or, like, I think it's so common for people. And just when you really understand that's something that we can very quickly, like, snap to, it makes me think, like, wait a minute, is there a different way I can approach this?
Absolutely. And one of the things that comes up for me is all of the times where I've thought, I just want to give up. Like, I just want to give up on business. This isn't worth all of the trials and the struggles that we go through on a day-to-day basis. At the end of the day, it's that mission and whatever it is that you believe in strongly, that dream that you had when you first started, that makes it all worth it. Anyone who's ever had a baby knows that the first couple of months of having a baby are so difficult. There's diapers and messes and more spit up than I can even talk about. But you would never say, like, I wish we hadn't had the baby. It's, I wish I didn't have to be dealing with this right now. I wish I didn't just get spit up all over myself. You don't say, I'm going to give up on being a parent because there's spit up or because there's, yeah, exactly. And for me, I've been going through one of the biggest mental struggles with a project that I need to finish up. And it's so crazy because it is technically a very difficult project, but every single day I'm like, I could just give up. I could just not launch this project. I could just walk away from this when I know that the baby that is waiting for me at the end of this project is phenomenal and it's absolutely worth it. But literally, as I'm in the middle of like struggling through tech at night and going through it, because as a leader, one of the things I do is I don't like to teach people how to do something that I don't know how to do. I like being able to explain the systems behind things, which means I go through the struggles first. So I'm never asking my team to go through something that I don't know how to go through. So as I'm going through this process, it causes me to cough. No, as I'm going through this process, every single day, I'm like, don't give up on that dream that you have and the result that it's going to bring just because this tech is challenging.
Yeah.
So that's how it's been very relevant for me lately.
And I'm not a parent, but I can see how your business can be like a crying baby. And there's all these just different options of things you do. Like when your baby's crying, what do? You change them, you feed them, you burp them, you hold them, you cuddle them. Like there's just a series of things you have to do. So when your business is crying, you're not just like, screw it. Like this isn't working for me anymore. It's too hard. Like there's the few things that you can keep trying until they work, until your business stops crying. And the same thing with again, I'm not a parent and people will say, oh, having kids is the best. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the best. And so it's the exact same thing for business. It's so funny how we can relate these analogies for business and babies.
I know. And the other thing to remember, like if you're someone who is still in the infancy stage of building out your business and your dream, it's not always going to be a crying baby. Like there are going to be systems. There are going to be key hires that you make that significantly reduce the workload and allow you to focus on the things that you love the most. So when you're in those stages, and if you're a parent and you're watching this, like comment below so I know I'm not the only person watching this or being a part of this conversation. It's so tough because you feel like it's never going to end. Like that infancy stage is what your life is always going to look like. And we just went back into it. We hit the reset in our personal lives. But even a year ago, it was like before I got pregnant, we were in just such a great state of stability with our kids being 3 and 6 years old. It was totally manageable. It was awesome. It was great. I never for a second went back to that baby phase and said, oh man, I should have given up on that era. That was so hard. And the same thing is true with your business. Your business is going to grow and evolve a lot like a baby.
It's so funny to hear these analogies. And I want to hear from you guys if you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Comment below if you can think of other analogies for how your business is almost like a baby or almost like parenthood. There's things that you do in your business that's almost like raising children. And just like Rachel said, as your business is growing, there may be more of that independence, that you have the processes in place, that it doesn't require you 24/7. You get to sleep more at night, just like when your kids are growing up. So there's so many kind of parallels here. So if you're a parent or even if you're not, and if you kind of have an analogy or a parallel in your mind that you can share with us, I just think it's hilarious and also eye-opening to go, oh yeah, like look how we did it here. You do this with your kids, and if you're not a parent like me, with even just understanding people that you love, and how does that translate into business?
So one question I have for you, Marley, is what is some of the toughest bathwater that you've experienced, maybe even recently?
Yeah, definitely. Relationships, like things with spouses. Like you have an argument or you think like you're not seeing eye to eye, and it's like, oh my God, like I don't know if this is, you have those arguments that can be really tough. But then when you get through it, or you communicate better, or even just you take a moment away and you're like, oh, I love you. I'm so glad that like you communicate, you come back together, and you're so glad that you didn't throw out that baby with the bathwater. In business, definitely a struggle for me is like, as my business is growing, and it's growing at a really fast rate right now, which is a great problem to have, but that also means a lot of change in the structure, in the team, in the processes, and hiring. Gosh, it can be tough. I just hired a new person yesterday, and unfortunately I had to let go of someone a couple of weeks ago. You were there when I made that phone call. And it was tough. Like it's tough to make those calls. And now I debate in my mind, am I throwing out the baby with the bathwater, or is this something that it's just not a right fit? So those are the times too when the business is growing that I'm like, do I put the brakes on this? Is this the right person? Are these the right processes? Did I do the right thing? Or sometimes you're just so overwhelmed because there's so many aspects to take care of that's the part where you're just like, just throw it out.
Yeah, totally. Some of the biggest challenges that I've been going through lately are, personally, one of the hardest things is refinding my identity. I feel like every single time I have a kid, as I say it like I've had like 17 kids, all 3 times that I've had a kid, it's like a massive button gets pushed where it's like, wait a second, who am I? Like, am I the girl that likes to wear makeup? Am I the girl who likes to dress up? How do I dress? I don't even know. Because, as the years go on, you get rid of portions of your wardrobe and you're like, wait a second, who am I again? And so that's been a massive reset. But as trying as it is and as challenging as it is, I'm remembering that who I'm going to come out on the other side as is going to be a person who feels really true to me, especially knowing now that we finished that chapter of our lives of having babies. So it's really exciting for me because this time it feels almost more permanent. And then in my business, one of the biggest bathwater trials that I'm going through is realizing that I have more dreams than I have diligence to build out the systems to make all of those dreams come true. And so it means one of two things. Either I need to let some dreams hang on for a second and wait, or I need to be diligent enough to build out the systems fast enough so that my team can support me in those dreams.
I had a thought, and I was just like so intrigued by what you were saying that I lost it. I totally lost it.
Oh man. Maybe a thought for next week?
It really will be a thought for next week. Well, guys, a few weeks ago, we gave you a teaser that the Bootstrapping to Breadwinning Arsenal is on its way. And guess what? I'm designing it right now.
I'm so excited about this. If you're excited about this, if you are watching live with us, comment below and let me know that you're excited for the Bootstrapping to Breadwinning Arsenal. You guys are going to absolutely love this. So if you're someone who's excited and you want to get your hands on this before the rest of the world does, let us know by commenting below. And if you're listening to the podcast, just like air high five us and let us know that you're excited about it. We'll drop the link to it so you can have access before anyone else gets it.
Yep, absolutely. And again, if you're listening on the podcast, please leave us a review. Make sure you subscribe. Also subscribe to us on YouTube, which our link is breadwinningwomentv.com. And guess what? Our website just got a facelift, breadwinningwomen.com. So go ahead and take a look over there because that's where you're going to get a lot more resources that we're building out. And we can't wait to show you. And thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Bye, everyone. See you later.